unsuspecting homeowner has been met by the Infiltrator. It's up to Inspector Weathereyes to investigate this alleged infiltration and put a stop to it. This infiltration began on a small scale many years ago. There were nights when he would sit in his favorite chair, reading the paper, and be startled by a chill in the air. His paper would waver as though a spirit had walked by. He didn't want to be bothered with thoughts of spirits infiltrating his house. After a number of years, the situation could not be ignored. The chill in the air was a call for heavy sweaters, and it was getting harder to read the newspaper. This is where our heroine, Inspector Weathereyes, picks up the story. After careful questioning of the alleged victim, Inspector Weathereyes is close to cracking the case.
Well, how long have you lived in this house?
20 years.
And how long have these strange things been going on?
Maybe 4 or 5 years.
Why have you waited to now to report it?
Oh, I just thought it was the wind.
The wind, eh? Huh. Well, you may have something there.
What do you mean?
Well, answer me this. Does your house seem to take more heat than it used to?
Well, as a matter of fact, it takes a lot more than my neighbors down the street. You take Mr. Infiltrator and old Willie Cock.
You shouldn't compare yourself with your neighbors.
Oh, well, I suppose you're right.
Mr. Sumer.
Yes?
You've been infiltrated.
No.
Yes. All of those chills and whistles have been the manifestations of infiltration. That's when heated air escapes and is replaced with cold outside air.
But I thought all houses were built, weather tight.
Wrong. Doors and windows are primary accomplices to the infiltrator. They provide lots of little openings to let your heated air out.
Well, how can we stop this infiltrator?
Well, here, read this pamphlet from City Lights. There are lots of strategies you can employ. However, I'd suggest a strong dose of weather stripping throughout your house. It's an excellent repellent for the infiltrator.
Oh. Well, this is where the warm air goes out and the cold air. That really happens, huh?
Remember, there are 3 things to consider before you help me catch the infiltrator. How much do you want to spend? How durable do you want the weather stripping to be? And how good are you at do-it-yourself projects?
Well, how do I decide?
Well, this adhesive back foam is very easy to install. It's inexpensive, and you can't see it once it's up. On the other hand, it only lasts a couple of years, and it has a tendency to get hard if you paint it.
Oh, I don't know. Isn't there some other way we can stop the infiltrator? That foam doesn't look durable enough to me.
Well, it's a little more expensive, but this all-metal weather stripping is very effective. It's a little harder to install, but it's very durable, and it's almost invisible.
Do I need any kind of special equipment for this?
Nothing out of the ordinary. Hammer, nails, tin snips, tape measure.
I could use that on my doors. But isn't there something that's inexpensive and durable?
So glad you asked that. Aluminum back vinyl would fit the bill. However, it shows once it's up. You use the same tools I mentioned.
I could use that on my windows. All right. Let's get started. I'm anxious to get rid of that infiltrator. Well, first what I did is measure all the way around the door jamb. And then I cut the metal to the proper length and tacked that in. And then what I did is I pulled out this front edge of the metal so I would get a better seal.
That's very good.
But what about the bottom of the door here? We still haven't protected that from infiltration yet.
Be patient. You just need a door sweep. Check that pamphlet I gave you from City Lights. See, you can get sweeps and vinyl bulb thresholds.
And door shoes. And here's an interlocking threshold.
Right. You just have to check your door to see which one's going to work the best. Now, the other major accomplices to the infiltrator are windows. You want to put your aluminum and vinyl weather stripping on the outside to get the best seal. You see, You measure the moving parts, and you tack the weather stripping up on all sides.
Like this?
Right. It's easier if you use a staple gun.
Now, this is more like it.
This homeowner can relax now. His doors and windows are protected from the Infiltrator. Call 625-3020 to get your free pamphlet, Weather Stripping Your Home.
In the next few minutes, you will hear the whys and wherefores of making storm windows at 1/10 of the commercial cost. Storm windows save you money by cutting down on heat loss through windows. Listen carefully, as this tape will self-destruct at the end of the presentation. Look through the information in the folder. It is designed to make the construction of storm windows a mission possible. The results of your work should produce a product like this. Remember, storm windows work because they set up a dead air space between the window and storm window. It's the air, not the window, that does the insulating. The tools you'll need to accomplish this mission are the following: a saw and miter box, tape measure, staple gun, hammer, utility knife, and the materials with which to make the storm windows are as follows: 1 inch by 2 inch strips of wood for the frame, molding, plastic, this is 8 mils thick, staples, Scotch fasteners and finishing nails, and foam-backed weather stripping. With materials and tools in hand, the rest is up to you, should you decide to accept this mission. This tape will self-destruct in 5 minutes. Measuring the windows is the first step, and it's probably the most important. The idea is to make a frame about 1/8 inch smaller than the window all the way around. Measure all 4 sides individually because window frames tend to become unaligned over the years. Write each measurement down as you take it. Measure the left, then the right, and subtract 1/8 inch from each. Measure the top and the bottom, and subtract 1/8 inch. If there is some variation, like the top is wider than the bottom by an inch or so, make the window to fit the small measurement and fill in the difference with weather stripping later. Cut the left and right pieces to the adjusted length. Make straight cuts, not mitered. Measure the width of the material you are using for the frame. Label each piece as it is cut. Cut the top and bottom pieces the adjusted length minus the width of the left and right pieces. Lay them out on a flat surface so the outside of the frame is facing you. The next step is to construct the frame with the Scotch fasteners. Pound in a fastener on each corner, then turn the frame over and pound in 4 more fasteners. That's all there is to the frame. Put it up in the window and make sure it fits before you go any further. If you're going to paint or stain the frame and molding, do it now and let it dry. The plastic should be cut about 2 inches wider than the frame all around. Staple it to the frame this way. First the corners, then the sides. Stretch it smooth but not too tight. The plastic will constrict in cold weather. You'll have the best luck if you work with the plastic when it is about 60 degrees in the room, because it stretches and constricts when it gets hotter or colder. If you have wrinkles or folds in the plastic, try heating it up with a hairdryer, then letting it cool down. If you don't want to put molding on the window, just fold the plastic over the frame like this and staple. Finish it with weather stripping and you're done. The molding does make it look better. It usually goes about 1/4 inch from the inner edge of the frame. You probably should miter the corners for looks. Use the finishing nails to put it on, then trim off the extra vinyl like this. Put foam weather stripping on the storm window to make a tight seal, either here or here, and you are done. Mission accomplished. Cost of these windows is about $1 per square foot. The windows last anywhere from 3 to 10 years, depending on exposure to the elements and wear and tear. All the directions are in this brochure, Making Your Own Storm Windows. Call City Light at 625-3020 to get a copy. The following story comes from the files of the Home Weatherization Program. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
The time, 2 p.m. The place, your town, USA. A woman walks out of the house. She is carrying a gun, but not an ordinary gun. Her gun is a caulk gun. This very scene could be taking place on any street in any town. Perhaps it's happening in your neighborhood right now. Let's take a look at this particular scene and examine the evidence. It's a known fact that when your house gets 10 years old, the wood dries and shrinks, causing cracks. Those cracks and openings cost you money. Caulking can help cut down those energy costs. A variety of caulking material is available in tubes of latex, oil, resin, and silicone. Different price ranges and colors are available, and some are more durable than others. Caulking also comes in rope form for extra long cracks. In the case of Jane Doe, she was found using latex caulking in her gun. Her reasons were simple. It's not too expensive, it's fairly durable, it cleans up with water, and it can be painted. Here are the materials found at the scene. Exhibit A, a ladder. Exhibit B, some scissors. Exhibit C, a putty knife. Exhibit D, some solvent. And Exhibit E, the caulk gun. To determine the proper method for caulking, we had Jane Doe reenact the scene. Using Exhibit B, the scissors, she snips the tip of the tube at a 45-degree angle. To get the caulk to flow, it might be necessary to stick a nail in the tube. If the opening is too big, the caulk will flow out too fast. Next, with the help of Exhibit D, the solvent, she cleans the area to be caulked. Then she takes the gun and runs the caulking along the area like this, making sure it touches both sides of the crack or opening. Finally, the caulking is smoothed out with the putty knife. So, there are 3 basic steps: clean, caulk, and smooth it over. The main rule of thumb for caulking is to caulk areas where 2 parts of the house meet, or where there are openings in the house that lets heat out. According to the investigation in this file, these are the areas we found caulked: around door frames and window frames, where siding meets siding, where siding meets foundation, and any place else you can think of where heated air can escape from your home. Jane Doe was tried and true and found guilty of energy consciousness, a willingness to weatherize her home, and caulking in the 1st degree. For this, she was presented with the Home Weatherization Program Outstanding Caulking Award, and has since spent many years in a warm and comfortable home.